Cairo 3:00 a.m. The air is thick with the scent of roasted coffee and exhaust. You're sitting across from someone you love or someone you're losing. The silence is heavy. It's a physical weight on the table between the chipped teacups. You ask a question, "Are we okay?" Your heart hammers against your ribs like a trapped bird. You want a yes or a no. You want a map, but they don't give you a map. They exhale, they look at the steam rising from the mint tea. Then they say it, Yanni. That's it, one word. It's not a yes. It's definitely not a no. In English, we're told to be clear, be direct, say what you mean. We're taught that ambiguity is a lie. But here, in the heart of the Middle East, ambiguity is a soft pillow. It's a shield. It's a way of saying, I'm hurting, and I don't want to hurt you back. We spend our lives trying to nail down the truth like it's a piece of furniture. But what if the truth isn't a solid thing? What if the most honest moments happen in the blurry spaces between words? Because Yanni isn't just a filler word, it's a heartbeat. And if you don't know how to listen to it, you're missing the entire conversation. Most of us are taught to treat language like a surgery, use the right word, cut clean, don't leave any mess. We want precision, we want definitions. If you ask a friend if they're coming to your party and they say maybe, it feels like a flake, it feels like a glitch in the system. But go to Beirut, go to Amman, go to Baghdad, the glitch is the system. Here, being too direct isn't just rude, it's sharp. It's a blade that cuts through the delicate social fabric that keeps everyone safe. Here, being too direct isn't just rude, it's sharp. It's a blade that cuts through the delicate social fabric that keeps everyone safe. Think of an iceberg. Most people see the tip, the words we actually speak. Hello, how much is this? I'm fine. But in what we call high context cultures, the real conversation is happening underwater. It's the depth. It's the 90% you can't see. It's the way you tilt your head, the length of your pause, the specific way you sigh before opening your mouth. In these places, the words are just the decoration. The context is the foundation. Yanni is the king of this underwater world. Literally, it means simple, right, wrong. It's a linguistic chameleon. It's a bridge. It's a smoke screen. It's a way to keep the door open when the world wants to slam it shut. We live in a digital age where we're obsessed with clarity. We want receipts, we want screenshots, we want data. We think that if we can just define everything, we'll finally understand each other. But here's the secret: clarity can be cold, clarity can be lonely. When you define something perfectly, you finish it, you box it up, you put a lid on it. But human emotions, love, grief, longing, those things don't fit in boxes. They're messy, they're blurry. And that's where Yanni comes in. It's the language of the in-between. It's for the moments when the truth is too big for a single noun. Imagine a world where you never have to be wrong, because the language itself allows you to pivot. A world where you don't have to admit defeat because you can just shift the air. It sounds like magic, or maybe just a clever trick. But for millions of people, it's the only way to survive a conversation without losing your soul. We're so busy trying to be understood that we've forgotten how to feel. We've forgotten that sometimes the most important thing you can say is nothing at all, while using a word that says everything. But how does a single word manage to hold that much weight? How does it change from a shrug to a scream just by the way you move your eyebrows? Let's get technical, but not textbook technical. Let's get street technical. You're in a taxi in Amman. The driver is weaving through traffic like he's threading a needle with a sledgehammer. You ask him, will we get to the airport on time? He doesn't look at the GPS. He doesn't check his watch. He looks in the rearview mirror, meets your eyes for a fraction of a second, and says, Yanni, Inshallah. In that moment, Yanni isn't a word, it's a weather report. It's telling you that the traffic is bad, the roads are narrow, but he's going to try his best, yet ultimately, the universe has its own plans. If he just said yes and you missed your flight, he'd be a liar. If he said no, he'd be a pessimist. Yanni is the safety net. It's the linguistic buffer that keeps the relationship between you and the driver intact, regardless of the outcome. In the West, we worship at the altar of the low-context God. We think words should be self-contained units of data, like a zip file. You send it, I open it, we both see the same photos, but Arabic is a high-context playground. The words are just the playground equipment. The context is the gravity, the air, and the sand. In a high-context culture, I don't need to tell you I'm angry. I just need to use a slightly more formal version of Yanni and look at my fingernails while you're talking. If you're paying attention, if your emotional antenna is tuned in, you'll feel the temperature in the room drop 40 degrees. This creates a massive amount of linguistic ambiguity. Now, for a software engineer in Seattle, ambiguity is a bug. It's a flaw in the code. But for a poet in Shiraz or a grandmother in Dubai, ambiguity is a grace. It's the space between. Think about a couple, let's call them Sarah and Karim. They've been together for 3 years. The spark is flickering. Sarah asks, "Do you still love me the same way?" If Karim is speaking English, style logic, he's trapped. If he says yes, but his heart isn't 100% in it, he's being dishonest. If he says no, he starts a war. But if he says, Yanni, you know how much you mean to me, he's doing something brilliant. He's not dodging the question. He's inviting Sarah into the gray area. He's saying, our love is complicated, it's evolving. It's not a binary 1 or 0. This is where emotional intuition kicks in. Because the words are vague, Sarah has to rely on her gut. She looks at his eyes, she feels the vibration of his voice, she's forced to be present. In a direct culture, you can go on autopilot. You just listen to the words. In an ambiguous culture, you have to listen to the soul. You have to be a detective of the heart. We call this social synchrony. It's like two people playing jazz. There's no sheet music. You just have to feel where the other person is going. Yoni is the and ah that gives the other person time to catch up. It's a rhythmic pause. It's saying, I'm thinking, I'm feeling, stay with me. But there's a darker side to this too, or maybe just a more complex one. Ambiguity can be a prison. If you can never get a straight answer, how do you ever build a house? How do you sign a contract? How do you know if you're actually fired or just being suggested to leave? So we've painted this beautiful, romantic picture of the Yanni soul. It's a soft candle, right? It's a warm blanket for the heart, but here is the twist. Here is the part where the candle starts to flicker and the shadows get long. We think clarity is the goal of language. We think the reason we talk is to be understood. But what if that's a lie? What if the real reason we talk is to stay safe? In a culture where you always have to be direct, let's say Germany or the Netherlands, the responsibility is on the speaker. If I don't understand you, it's your fault. You weren't clear. You didn't use the right data points. But in the Yanni world, the responsibility flips. It's on the listener. It's your job to decode me. It's your job to read my mind. This is the high context trap. It creates a weird kind of psychic pressure. You aren't just listening to words anymore. You're scanning for subtext. You're looking for the no hidden inside 100 maybes. Imagine a CEO in Dubai. He's talking to a new employee from New York. The New Yorker finishes a presentation and asks, so do you like the direction? The CEO says, Yanni, it's an interesting start. It has potential. The New Yorker walks out thinking he's a rock star. He heard potential. He heard start. He's already planning the next phase. But the CEO assistant, who grew up in the neighborhood, is already looking for the New Yorker's replacement. Why? Because she heard the Yanni. She felt the specific weight of that silence. She knows that in this context, interesting means disastrous, and potential means please never show me this again. Is the CEO lying? In his mind, no. He gave the New Yorker every chance to see the truth. He left the clues right there on the table. If the New Yorker couldn't pick them up, that's on him. This creates a culture of super listeners. People in the Middle East have a PhD in reading between the lines. They can hear a heartbreak in a hello. They can see a business failure in the way someone sips their tea. It makes them incredibly intuitive, empathic, sensitive, but it also makes them exhausted. Imagine living your whole life in a world where nothing is ever settled, where every yes has a Yanni attached to it like a trailing ghost. It's like walking on a floor made of clouds. It's soft, sure, but your ankles start to ache because there's nothing solid to push off from. We think being direct is harsh, but you know what else is harsh? Never knowing where you stand. Never knowing if your best friend is actually mad at you, or if they're just using Yanni to bridge a gap they don't want to deal with. Here's the counter-intuitive part. Linguistic ambiguity actually requires more trust, not less. In a direct culture, I don't need to trust you, I just need to trust the dictionary. If you say the deadline is Tuesday, I trust the word Tuesday. But in a Yanni culture, I have to trust you. I have to trust that you aren't using that ambiguity to manipulate me. I have to trust that your Yanni is a shield to protect my feelings and not a sword to hide your intentions. This is the clash of civilizations that happens every day in airports, boardrooms, and bedrooms. The direct speaker feels like the ambiguous speaker is sneaky. The ambiguous speaker feels like the direct speaker is violent. One person is trying to be honest with the facts, the other is trying to be honest with the relationship. But what happens when the relationship is all you have? What happens when the facts are too dangerous to speak out loud? In some parts of the world, being clear can get you into trouble, it can get you fired, it can break a family apart. In those moments, Yanni isn't just a quirk of the language, it's a survival strategy, it's the smoke that lets the magician disappear. But if we're all disappearing into the smoke, who is left to actually see each other? Who is left to say the things that need to be shouted? It's the difference between a fluorescent light and a candle. The fluorescent light shows you everything, the dirt in the corners, the cracks in the wall, the wrinkles on your skin. It's clear, but it's ugly. The candle leaves things in the shadows. It's warm, it's flickering. It makes everything look a little better than it actually is. We are a fluorescent society. We are obsessed with the big reveal. We want the truth with a capital T. But maybe, just maybe, the truth is too bright for us to look at directly. Maybe we need the Yanni to act as a pair of sunglasses. Think about the last time you were truly honest with someone, not factually honest, but emotionally honest. Was it a short sentence? Or was it a long, rambling mess of kind-offs and sort-offs, and you know what I means? When we are at our most vulnerable, we lose our ability to be precise. Precision is for people who aren't afraid. But when your heart is on the line, you start to speak in Yanni. So if this word is a shield for the heart, what happens when two different worlds collide? What happens when a Yanni soul meets a straight, talk mind in the middle of a crowded London street? Let's go deeper, past the cafes, past the business deals. Let's talk about the shadows where Yanni hides when the world gets cold. We like to think of language as a tool for connection, a way to bring two people closer, but sometimes language is a fortress. And in the Middle East, that fortress is built out of beautiful, shimmering bricks of uncertainty. There is a dark truth to all this beauty. Ambiguity is often the child of survival. If you live in a place where the rules change overnight, where governments shift, where borders are lines in shifting sand, you learn quickly that being on the record is a dangerous game. If you say something with absolute clarity, you own it forever. You're pinned to it like a butterfly in a glass case. But if you say Yanni, you're still a bird, you can still fly away. This is the systemic failure of the clear world. We demand that people be authentic. We tell them to speak their truth. But we forget that for many, the truth is a luxury they can't afford. In a landscape of historical trauma and social pressure, Yanni is the only space where you can breathe without being judged. It's the linguistic equivalent of a no comment that still sounds like a poem. Think about the weight of a collective culture. In the West, we are I want this, I feel that, I am going here, but in the Yanni world, you are a we. You are your family, your tribe, your neighborhood. If you say something too direct, you aren't just speaking for yourself. You're dragging everyone you love into the spotlight with you. The pressure to maintain harmony, to keep the vibe steady, is immense. It's exhausting. So, you use Yanni to smudge the edges of your identity. You use it to blend in. It's a survival mechanism that keeps the group together, but leaves the individual feeling like a ghost. This is the price of the soft pillow. You're never quite awake. You're never quite seen. You spend your life navigating a labyrinth of sort-offs and not quites, and eventually, you might even start to lose track of your own heart. If you never have to name your feelings, do you really feel them, or do they just stay as a vague ache in your chest? This is the paradox. we've traded the sharp pain of directness for the long, dull ache of the unspoken. We've created a system where emotional intuition is a superpower, but also a burden. You have to be a mind reader just to get through lunch. You have to be a detective just to know if your father is proud of you. We see this in the architecture of the Middle East, too, the mashrabiyah, those beautiful carved wooden lattices on the windows. From the inside, you can see the whole street. You see the light, the people, the chaos, but from the outside, no one can see you. You are hidden behind a pattern of geometry. Yani is a mashrabiyah for the soul. It lets the speaker look out, but it keeps the world from looking in. It's a magnificent defense, but a defense is still a wall, and walls, no matter how beautifully carved, keep us apart. We find ourselves in a world where we are connected by a word that means everything and nothing at the same time. We are talking more than ever, but are we saying anything? Or are we just throwing Yani into the air like confetti to distract each other from the silence? Because eventually the confetti has to land, eventually the taxi reaches the airport, the tea gets cold, the lover leaves the room. And when the air clears, what's left? Is it a deeper understanding, or is it just a room full of shadows that we've mistaken for a relationship? If we want to truly find each other in the fog, we have to ask, what happens when the Yani stops? What happens when there's nothing left to hide behind? So we're left standing in the clearing. The Yani has settled like dust on an old bookshelf. Maybe you're thinking that clarity is better, that we should just say what we mean and let the chips fall where they may. But think about the people you love most. Is your relationship with them a series of facts? Or is it a collection of shared glances, half-finished sentences, and jokes that don't make sense to anyone else? Middle Eastern culture doesn't use Yani because they're confused. They use it because they're human. They understand that the heart is a messy, liquid thing. It doesn't have sharp corners. To be human is to be ambiguous. To be alive is to be Yani. It's the grace of not forcing someone to be a yes or no before they're ready. Next time you're in a conversation that feels tight when the truth feels like it might bruise the person across from you, try it, lean into the gray. Don't rush to the finish line. Maybe the in-between is where the actual connection lies. Maybe the most honest thing you can do is admit that words aren't enough. Because if Yani is the heartbeat of the Middle East, what is the heartbeat of the West? We've looked at the why behind the vague. But what about the why behind the silent? Next time we're heading to the snow, to the land of the unspoken, where the loudest things are the words people refuse to say. Would you like me to show you how a Finnish silence can say more than 1,000 Arabic sighs?